On today's episode of Flowers, I had a chance to sit down with Principal Mills, aka the Good Doctor. Principal Mills walked into one of the worst school systems and made the impossible possible. Here's how the conversation went. Welcome to Flowers, y'all. I'm your host, DJ Payday, and I have the honor of being here with Principal Mills. Man, listen, I've been following Principal Mills and his story for some time now, and I am nothing but inspired. I am truly, I feel like this man is family to me because of all the good that he's done, and his story is just so it needs to be heard, you know what I mean? Especially for our young black men out here. You know, that may feel like it's not out there for them, but it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You come from the same city
for sure.
as me, Paterson, New Jersey, and me and you both know it is not easy growing up here. So, Mr. Mills, I want the people to hear your story. I'm gonna let you take it away, man.
I mean, I grew up real humble beginnings. Mm-hmm. So for those of you out here that's watching this from Paterson,
right,
and beyond. Right, I grew up in the Christopher Columbus projects, right? So notorious for drugs, prostitution. If you've watched Snowfall or The Wire, it's very reminiscent of those kinds of environments where you can walk out your front door and you can see someone abusing a substance. I mean, I've walked out of my front door and seen people overdose with needles in their toes. Just all kinds of things, right? Violence that you experience, and so to navigate that and figure out what was going on and have family members really supporting me and people kind of holding me accountable and keeping me out from in front of those buildings and things like that allowed me to get to high school. Right. And in high school, I still was, going through it all, but I met some mentors. Right. They supported me. They actually gave me jobs. They got me into sports, and sports I would say was a big deterrent from the streets because it was really an excuse. My friends really supported that concept that you could make it out of here through sports. Right. No one really was believing in education at the time. It was you either going to play sports or you're going to do something wrong, and that's going to be a ticket out.
That's it for you.
So figured those things out, made it to college, still didn't really know what was going on. I was a first generation student. Okay. My mother had me when she was 16, had my sister when she was 17, so she was a teen mom figuring it out. So we were just poor, real poor.
With the flow.
Just seeing what could happen. And right. She had a she had heavy faith that school was a way for us to get up out of there.
Right.
And she instilled that in me. She just wouldn't let up, right? If it was homework, it had to be done. If she was going to threaten me, whatever it was going to be. But getting to college really just expanded my horizon. Right. So it gave me opportunities to work with other people, experience other cultures, other ethnicities, really begin to see what I was going through. Mm-hmm. Was a traumatic experience because working with my peers in class, right. They just couldn't believe that I had to boil my water on the stove in order to take a bath. Right. It was just what? That didn't even make sense to them that could happen in America.
I just want to say shout out to moms.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For being so young and making sure that education was the first priority and staying on top of you, because we have a lot of teens raising kids out here, and they babies raising babies, and they really don't have any guidance themselves to actually be that parent to make sure that their kids is doing what needs to be done for their future. Yep. So for you to have a mom so young, I mean, that's an example of you got to make the best out of your situation. Yep. You know what I mean? I guess you and your sister probably made her strong. Well, it obviously made her stronger, made her better, made her be more responsible and know that she wanted better for y'all. Yeah. So I just want to shout out moms for that, because we don't really hear that all the time. Young parents doing the right thing as far as education. Yeah.
To sum it up, she sacrificed her life. Right. She sacrificed her entire life to just make sure that we were good. So if it was a job she could have took, she didn't take it. If there was a time that she needed to be away from her family, she just bypassed the whole thing and was just look, I'm here for them, whatever it is that they need and whatever works for them. So if that meant Section 8, mm-hmm. and if that meant welfare, whatever it took, she was saying, I can't take the job making minimum wage if I need to travel 2 towns over and leave my children with someone else.
Right.
I would prefer to take the welfare and go to these training programs and do daycare because my children can go to daycare with me.
Exactly.
So it's like things like that she was making sacrifices for just to make sure that we was close to her.
And good.
Right. And so that transcended to, you know, us really having a strong relationship with my mom and then really like hanging on her every word. So if she said that it was possible, we lived it out.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that, you know, just like, y'all grew up together because at the end of the day, she was a teen, you know, but she made sure that y'all were good. But all right, so I had the pleasure of being with you at the Healing Fest.
Yeah.
You basically were talking about, you know, people selling drugs in the street and comparing it to a regular 9 to 5. And the way that you broke the numbers down made me look at the situation like, hold on, wait a minute. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, throughout going to school, were you always really good with numbers and math and stuff like that? Was that your subject, or is that something that you've grown into?
No, it was the subject, right? Like you growing up in the city of Paterson. I mean, the only thing that you had to hope for was that you was gonna make a lot of money and get out of here. Right. And so, from that perspective, like being in my neighborhood, we wanted to figure out how we can get the most money, and sometimes that just wasn't the most appropriate ways to do it.
Right.
And so, in understanding that, I just think that I became really good at problem solving. Like, I always understood, like, if these 3 things go wrong, here's what's going to happen next. Right? And so, it turns up in that way, or it shows up in just literally pen to paper. I was always really good at just, like, number sense. Then we got in algebra and so on and so forth. And, like, so much so that I majored in math in college.
Wow.
And then and then I got a bachelor's in mathematics.
Right. So
these were all things that as a child I would just gravitate towards because it came easy. Okay. I just wanted to figure stuff out. I just knew that this is not it. No matter what people are saying to me or who is speaking to me, that I can get out of this.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the start of your career with education.
Yep.
You know, how did that go about? How did everything start for you?
Oh, so it was unique, to say the least. I would say when I was getting going, right, like I'm transitioning into the person I'm supposed to be, but still living amongst all the things that I knew. Okay. So, right, my friends were the same, my interactions with people were the same, where I hung out, right? Like nothing changed. So I literally just kind of like went to college for 4 years, and many of my friends went to prison for 4 years. Okay. So we kind of like landed back in Paterson at the same time. Trying to figure stuff out. Right. So I'm going to work every day, and they trying to figure things out. I'm substituting, but you can still find me in the same places, right? Like I had an infatuation with jewelry, with cars. So anything that I had, I wanted to make sure that you could see it. Right, like I want you to know that I got this money. Right, hood rich to the death of me. That's really what it was. And so in that experience, what was so crazy was transitioning to a profession, and still being in the city that raised me. You know, people couldn't understand how those two things could exist with each other. Right. I never wanted to make my friends feel like I've arrived and I'm different and I can't be with y'all.
And I'm better.
And I'm better than people. But I also understood that this is a career that I'm pursuing that's ultimately going to leave a legacy for me. Right. So I didn't learn that the easy way. Right. Now someone had to say, okay, we believe that you are involved in things that you should not be involved in, that we don't think you should be in front of children, and that we believe that this is the last year you should ever step foot inside of a school building. Wow. And I had to go through that process. And that process looked like, officers of the law needing to question me, asking me, what's going on, what I'm doing. That led to, the school district itself essentially saying to me that, hey, we don't want you here, and we don't think that you should be in front of students. So, you probably shouldn't use this reference, but I was fighting for my life. Right. If y'all know the reference, and who the person is, right? So, but that was really it. I was a kid not knowing what it meant, and then my mentors you know, they were really clear with me, like, listen, you in a space where you got to change your habits,
Right.
you got to change what you're doing, and it just wouldn't resonate with me because I attended their parents' funerals. They ate at my kitchen table.
Right.
You know, like, we had experienced life together. In some instances, they made choices that put them in a different space than I was in.
Right.
So to just separate from that, it wasn't easy. But I would say the experience of someone saying you went to school for 4 years to get this degree, to earn more money than you've ever made in your life, and now we're going to take it away. I need to solve that problem.
Right.
And so in solving that problem, I left the city of Paterson.
Right.
I left the city of Paterson with what I was given, which was, hey, listen, we're not saying that you did anything wrong. And as a matter of fact, you have to agree not to sue us. And we're going to give you your year experience of teaching. And then we're going to call this a day.
Wow. So that right there, I mean, at the time, did it make you feel discouraged, like you didn't want to do it anymore, or like how did you feel like going through that?
Yeah, you know what? So this is maybe me, and the unique way I see life. I leverage pain to push me to further heights.
Okay.
So like to have an experience where someone was saying that I shouldn't be a person,
right.
It was like a driving force to demonstrate that you don't know what you're saying and doing, and when I return, it's going to be in a situation that everybody's going to have to like pay attention to what I'm doing.
Right.
And that's literally like how this all turned out, which is I went through the issues with Paterson. I figured out what I needed to do. We made an agreement. I went to the city of Newark, and within 5 years, I became the principal of the lowest performing school in the state,
right,
and bottom 15% in the country. And in one school year, we doubled the test scores. And before you knew it, we was winning Emmy Awards, and CNN wanted to know what was going on, and all kinds of people wanted to shoot documentaries, and Hollywood was calling. All kinds of things was happening, and my city began to say, how do we let him get away?
Right.
When initially, they were saying he shouldn't be in front of children.
So you made first of all, you made the impossible possible.
Right.
You did something that it has to be passion. I mean, I know for a fact that you making that turnaround wasn't easy. That's not something you just go do. You're not one of those people that's going to this job for a paycheck, obviously, because you actually made real life changes. Not only did you switch the grade system and, you know, all of that stuff around, but you became something that these kids never probably seen before.
Right.
You became that person.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think that's phenomenal. Especially, I'm proud because you're from my city. You know what I mean? You're from here, and you went somewhere else and still made like a magnificent change.
Yep.
And then not for nothing, now you're right back.
Yeah, in the way I want to be back, right? So those are the things that's important to me. I do this for a passion, and what I learned about life is if you pursue your passion, the money will chase you. The money comes. It's now I just things I can't accept. I can't do it. I can't take the money, no matter how big the paycheck is. Like, these are the things that I'm focused on. And if it's outside of what my focus is, no matter how great the idea is, I just have to say no to it, because my passion has made room for the blessings that I was seeking when I was a child, right? Like, so I wanted to skip the line, not understanding that I was affecting the trajectory that God had planned for me.
Right.
And so those are the kinds of things that I began to realize when I just put my head down, worked hard, and no one would have ever known that somebody was going to shoot a documentary or be interested in learning what I was doing inside of a school in Newark.
Right.
But I think that who I was and what I wanted to be to those young people, because I saw myself in them, was just like, I'm not your friend, I'm not your enemy.
Right.
But I'm a leader that's here to let y'all know what's right from wrong. And so if you're doing something wrong, I'm holding you accountable.
Right.
If you're doing something right, I'm celebrating you.
Exactly.
And that mutual respect amongst teenagers, you know, who may not have their parents, may be going through a lot worse things than me.
Right.
They respected that. They just like, yo, we gonna show up for Mills because he's showing up for us.
Exactly.
And he ain't choosing sides and he's not showing favoritism. If you do something wrong, it's wrong.
Right.
And that's how we approach it. And I think that became attractive to the young people.
Mm-hmm.
And then to like further learn, like, nah, he really like hip hop for real. Like he's really talking to me about Lil Uzi Vert right now and Chief Keef, right? Like or like he into the stuff we into. Exactly. He like cars. He like Dior. He like all the things.
Position that he in.
Right. And so I think those things begin to connect the dots for my young men, my young ladies, that we could be whatever we want coming out of these neighborhoods, and it don't just have to be entertainers.
Right.
We can do, build, and create whatever it is that we want. And it was those kinds of things that just led to some of my students graduating and deciding to be teachers. Some of my students graduating and actually pursuing doctors. Like one of my students, Kimberly, she just graduated from Harvard. Right? So like these are all things that we were trying to inspire them to do and be passionate and figure out what they want to do with their life. And it all turned out for the greater good. For the greater good of everybody. So I'm excited about, what it's done for my life and my family. Mm-hmm. And then I think that the impact is twofold, because those young people left with diplomas. Some of them pursued college, some of them pursued careers, and some of them are still trying to figure it out.
Right.
And I communicate with them, but it's all a part of the process to do as much good as we can before we leave.
And I feel like with your situation, it's more so like you went through what you went through, but you made the best out of it.
Yep.
And I feel like, what if you didn't go through that? Who's to say that you wouldn't be in this situation right now?
Let me tell you something. So what you're saying in my mind, and even what I put into the book, is like, we talk about God's plan. I could have never predicted it. If I had never gotten into any trouble, or not necessarily trouble, if I had never gotten kind of like that wake-up call, like you need to start moving different, I would have never left Paterson.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was
And
saying.
so not leaving Paterson would probably have set me in that same position as a math teacher for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And I wouldn't be sitting here right now because I'd still be teaching math, telling you all how, I do math.
Right.
But that situation forced me to leave the city, forced me to spread my wings and go figure out where my opportunities were, and forced me to say, I'm blocking out the noise, and in 5 years, being the principal. 4 years into that, being able to travel the country, working with 50 different principals to do work inside their schools with a think tank called the Future Project, to finding my partner who we've co-founded our own schools and bringing me back to my city, and now being able to service them the way I want to, and not necessarily under the jurisdiction or the governance of the city, the district itself.
Right. That
I have an opportunity to do it my way for my people in my city.
It's so important to have people like you, especially in our city, because it's no care really. You know what I mean? I'm always saying, where is the care? And I feel like you're bringing that. Not only are you bringing a different type of education, you're bringing opportunities to people that may need employment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you said, you're doing things the way that you want to do it. And the best part about it is it's done through passion.
Yep.
So it's going to be done right. You already made changes out north. You're doing your thing out here. It's just like I speak so highly of you because I'm truly proud of everything that you've done. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's so many other people out here with the same type of story,
right,
but that they don't have anyone to look up to that actually made it through their setback. You know what I mean?
So if for anybody out there listening that's been going through something, if we need to connect, to kick it, to figure out like, well, tell me a little bit more about that story. But you have to view setbacks as an opportunity for a major comeback. Like, you got to get yourself into a mindset where everything that you're going to go through, specifically in inner cities, are always going to be a challenge, right? You have to push through those things and believe that there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep. And
I think that mindset has always taken me to the next phase. And even now, coming back to Paterson and opening the College Achieve, and now we servicing, year one, we were only servicing 273 students. Year 5, I'm servicing 1,200 students. And I'm expanding for another 500 seats in this city. And then we have schools in Plainfield, we have schools in Asbury Park.
Wow.
And so the expectation is that I'm not building just one thing. I'm building a legacy that I'm hoping to spread to many people. So we talk about jobs and opportunities. I'm hiring. I'm always hiring. I'm hiring teachers. I'm hiring support staff. I'm hiring teachers' aides and special education. I'm hiring custodial workers. I'm hiring lunch staff.
Right.
I'm hiring lawyers. I'm hiring nurses. Right? Like, we're constantly hiring people, which I think is, again, providing something to the city that's greater than a donation.
Yeah.
I can come give you $1 million, or I can say, here's an opportunity for you to get benefits,
right,
get a pension, and feed your family for the next 30 years.
That's what's important. That's very important, and it's so much. It's just needed, and like I said, man, it's super dope. Like, just like a regular kid around here.
That's it.
You know, your story is similar. You know what I mean? But you are who you are right now because this is who you were supposed to be. You beat the odds, and I feel like we all can. You know what I mean? So even with this show, you know, this show is to bring people like yourself up here so my people can see that it's people from our community that's doing everything that we feel like may be impossible to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we don't really have much to look up to, but it's right here.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the platform.
It's right
I
here.
appreciate you creating this opportunity for me to share, because tapping in with those people who follow you might be the right audience to be able to hear this story, to begin to feel like, you know what, I can be him if that's what I want to do. And if you're trying to be me, like, I want to help you so you can be better than me. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. People think that it's not enough out here, or people think that they need to like keep it away from others because, you know, they're doing something that they don't want other people to do.
No.
I'm trying to find the next me.
Right.
Because the more people that can do what I'm doing inside of schools, the further away I can be from it to scale it across the country. To
make it happen even more.
That's
more
what,
effective.
and that's where we got to begin to think of things as. This is an opportunity for you to build a bigger thing by helping other people do what they want to do.
Right.
And that's just how I see life.
Right.
That's why I'm always trying to educate. I'm always trying to support. I'm always trying to figure out, like, you know what? Let me have a 30-minute conversation with this person. Hopefully, like, they can get something out of this to get them to the next phase of their life.
Exactly. And that, I mean, listen, that's what Flowers is about. You know what I mean? It's about showing the love. It's about showing appreciation. You know what I mean? It's okay to do that.
Yep.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you're riding a coattail or whatever the case may be. It just necessarily means that you truly appreciate what this person is doing for the better. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, look, man, flowers is flowers.
Thank
so
you.
we definitely gonna give you these flowers. The Good Doctor.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You. You know what I mean? Sunflowers is one of my
this.
favorite flowers. You know, I appreciate you coming out. One more thing. How did you get the name The Good Doctor?
The Good. You know, so these things just randomly happen. Like, I pursued my doctorate degree at Seton Hall.
Okay.
Right. So I finally get the degree, you know, and then things are going on around me where people are ultimately saying, like, you know, this is a good guy, he's a good person, he's supporting us in a real way, he's doing good work. And so it hit me that I was like, you know, I'm a hashtag the good doctor.
I like it.
And since then, you know, it's just kind of been growing legs. I know it's a TV show or whatever, but I appreciate the reference because that is what I'm trying to do. It may not be to fix, you know, a heart, right? But it's definitely, my goal is to fix a mind.
Right.
I'm doing surgery on the mind, where another person may be doing surgery on, you know, an organ. Right. But that's the ultimate goal. So when I say the good doctor, that's what I mean by it.
I like it. It's catchy. It fits you. You know what I mean? And like I said, Flowers, man, we appreciate you coming out for sure. I'm your host, DJ Payday. It's the Good Doctor, Mr. Mills, Principal Mills. Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Like this, man. You real dope, man. Appreciate you coming out. Hope you like flowers.
I do.